Hello and welcome to the movement series. Today's routine is going to take us through a number of different transitions between postures. So listen to the body, drop to the knees in those transitions and rejoin us in the following posture. So I hope you enjoyed today's session. Let's get straight into it. So coming up to the front of the mat for our usual warm-up, our sun salutation. We're going to reach up to the ceiling, create space through that spine. Take a nice deep breath into the belly. And then folding forward. Hands down to the mat, tuck the chin into the chest and just allow that back to stretch out, to warm up. Slight bend in the knees. Take a few deep breaths here. And then we're going to come up onto the fingertips. If we can't quite reach the mat with our fingertips, then coming up, hands onto the shins and just push those knees back. Keep the knees slightly bent. And then when we're ready, we're going to come down into our press up plank. So a couple of modifications here. We can be on our forearms, we can be down on our knees, or we can be up in the full pressed up plank. So if we're in this third modification, make sure the hands are directly under the shoulders. Make sure our hips are level and we're standing nice and strong. Doesn't matter which modification you're in, if you're being challenged, that's all we need to achieve. We need to make sure our form is nice and strong. Okay, and then from here we can either drop down to the knees and come down slowly, or we can come down in the full press up plank. So coming down to the mat, we can hover just above the mat, or we can lay on the mat. And then we're coming up into our upward dog. So again here we can be down on our forearms if this back bend's a little bit too intense for the shoulders. Or we can be up in the full upward dog, rolling the shoulders open. So let's go nice and slowly on this first one. Our back is very rarely put in this deep extension. Let's breathe into the belly. And then when we're ready, we're coming into our downward dog. So first one of the day. Let's start off nice and slowly, sink down into the shoulders, keep the elbows straight, slight bend in the knees if need be. Let's aim for that nice flat back. If the heels can touch the mat, then please do so, but make sure we keep nice and strong through that spine and we're sinking down into the shoulders. On the first one of the day, we always just ease into it. A fantastic one for warming up the shoulders. Great for the back of the legs. Okay, and then from here, we're going to walk the feet up in between the hands. We're going to come up into standing. Work. Okay, for our second set. Just reaching up to the ceiling, create space. Nice deep breath into the belly. Then we're going to fold forward. Hands down to the mat and tuck the chin into the chest. Let's push the knees back a little bit whilst maintaining a slight bend. Going to start activating the back of the legs. And from here, coming up onto the fingertips. We can have our hands onto the shins, but let's tuck the chin in so we're not craning the neck upwards. And let's start to push the knees back a little bit more now. And then from here, stepping back into our press up plank. So again, modifying it where needed, being down onto the forearms. Okay, having the knees on the mat if needed. You can even transition between raising the knees up and dropping them down. And you can transition coming up into the full press up plank and dropping the knees down. So just start off by building strength slowly, little by little, week by week it will become more familiar to these moves. If we're in the full press up plank now, let's make sure our hands are directly under the shoulders, our hips are strong. And then from here we can either drop down to the knees and come down slowly, or we can come down in the full press up. Elbows by the side, just to above the mat or laying on the mat. And from here, coming up into our upward dog. So again, we can be on our forearms for this one. Or we can come up onto the hands, open up the shoulders. So this routine, all of these routines are about putting the body into some different planes of motion. Looking where the tension lies in your body, so everyone is different. And then from here we're going to come back into our downward dog. So the body's a little bit warmer now. Might be able to sink a bit deeper into the shoulders, driving the hips up to the ceiling. We can walk back a little bit and drop the heels to the mat a bit closer. So having lots of flexibility isn't necessarily a great thing as well. It's about having control through these motions. About having healthy muscles, healthy joints, having good stability. There really is no perfect way of doing these postures. If you're a runner, you'll have slightly stiffer back legs. If you're a cyclist, you'll be a bit more dominant through the front. Let's hold it here. And then when you're ready, walking the feet up between the hands and coming up into standing. Right, third and final set. We're reaching up to the ceiling. Take a deep breath in and fold forward. Hands down to the mat. Tuck the chin in to the chest. Now if you feel like you're not really feeling anything in the back of the legs in this posture, then we can sink a little bit deeper. Placing the hands onto the mat, all the while keeping the knees slightly bent and pushing the knees back just to get those muscles working. And then from here, coming up onto the fingertips, tucking the chin in, or hands onto the shins, keeping the back flat. And then stepping back into our press up plank. And again, making the modification where needed. Coming down onto the forearms, dropping to the knees, or staying in the full press up plank. Elbows straight, hands underneath our shoulders. And then from here, either dropping down to the knees and coming down slowly, or coming down in the full press up, elbows by the side, coming down just above the mat, or laying on the mat, and then coming up into our upward dog. So again, being down on the forearms is absolutely fine. Just listen to your body. So open up the shoulders. And then from here, coming into our downward dog. So another big factor in flexibility is whether we're male or female. So generally speaking, females have a lot more range of motion. They can access deeper postures throughout this routine versus males who tend to be a little bit tighter, a little bit stiffer through the muscles. And it depends on also what we do for the best part of the day. If we have an office job, we'll probably find this really challenging through the shoulders, really challenging through the back. So everyone's very much individual. There's no perfect posture. If you're feeling something and you're working on form and you're keeping the breath controlled, then you're doing it perfectly. So let's hang out here for a few more moments. And then when we're ready, walking the feet up, in the hands, and coming up into standing. Okay, we're going to start off with our warrior pose. So line the heels up, back foot at 90 degrees, left foot pointing forward, and we're going to sink down into that hip. Okay, stay here if this is challenging enough for you. We're going to bring the arms up as well in this first modification. And stay here, making sure the body's nice and vertical. We've got even weight through that front and back foot. If you want to take it a step further, we're going to drop the left elbow onto the knee. We're going to bring the arm up and open up the chest. And for our third modification, we're coming down, fingertips on the mat and arm up. So if you've got your elbow on your knee or the fingertips on the mat, I really want you just to put minimal pressure through those points. I want you to use your legs to hold you up. Keep the breath fluid. Okay, we're going to hold it here for a few more breaths. Okay, so whichever modification you're in now, we're going to transition down into a plank. So if you're in the first modification or in the third, we're going to bring both hands down onto the mat. We can drop to the knees at any point. We're going to step back into our press up plank. Okay, so when we're ready, again we can be down on our forearms for this plank, or we can have the knees on the mat. But if we're in the press up plank and we want to take it a step further, we're going to raise the left leg off the mat and we're going to draw the knee in and we're going to hold it there. Keeping the hips level. And then we're going to step it back. We're going to raise the right leg up. We're going to draw it in and we're going to hold it. And then back. And then from here, we're going to go into our downward dog. So we're going to step back. And we're going to sink into those shoulders. So that transition there's challenging on the shoulders. Okay. So you're in the downward dog now. If this is challenging enough for you, stay here. No need to go any further. If you do want to take it a step further, we're going to bring the feet together. We're going to take our left foot off the mat. Okay, so the knee can be just slightly bent, or we can have it up in the air, or we can extend it out to any degree. It doesn't matter. The main objective here is that we're taking the foot off, challenging the body to stay level. We're sinking into the back of that right leg. Okay, drop into the knees at any point if you need to take a breather. And then from here, we're going to place the left foot back down onto the mat. And we're going to raise the right leg up. So a good point to drop to the knees now if you just need to shake the shoulders out. And straight away you may feel this may highlight differences between left and right in the back of the legs. So try and keep the back as flat as possible. Let's push through those hands. And then when we're ready, placing both feet down. And we're walking the feet up in between the hands and we're coming up into standing. Good work. Okay, we're going to open up the other way now. So right foot forward, line up the heels, back foot at 90 degrees. And when we're ready, we're sinking down into that right hip, keeping the body vertical. And in this first modification, we can have the arms up, shoulder level. So make sure there's even weight between your front and your back foot. And we're not leaning forward too much. Now, if this is challenging enough for you, stay here. If you want to take it a step further, we're gently placing the elbow on the knee and reaching up, and we're holding it here. And if you want to take it to the third modification, we're dropping the right hand down onto the mat, gently placing the fingertips onto the mat and reaching up. So make sure we're using our legs to hold us up in this second and third modification. We're rotating the back. We're not overreaching with that arm. We're keeping it in line with our chest. If you can rotate more, make sure the whole body goes as well. And we can come out of these postures as well to practice them. Drop to the knees, press pause, and rejoin us at any stage. So a few more breaths here. Okay, so whether you're in the first modification, the second or the third, we're going to move into our press up plank again. So you can either drop to the knees and move into it at your own pace, or we can try and do it in one movement. So bring the left hand down, hands onto the mat, stepping the right foot back. Okay. So we're in the press up plank now. We can be on our forearms or on our knees. But if we're in the full press up and we want to take it a step further, bring the feet together. We're going to raise the left leg up. We're going to draw it in and hold it. And then we're going to step back. We're going to raise the right leg up. We're going to draw it in and hold it. And we're going to step it back. Good work. And then from here, we're coming down into our downward dog. So by now the shoulders are definitely going to have been worked. Our breath maybe just a little bit choppy, so drop to the knees at any point. Try and slow that breath down. Now if we're in the downward dog and this is challenging, stay here. If you want to take it a step further, bring the feet together. And we're going to raise the left leg up off the mat. And again, the foot can just be off the mat. It can be bent. It can try and look pretty up in the air. Okay, but the main objective is that the foot is off the mat. And we're challenging the shoulders, keeping the back flat. Breathing down into our belly, sinking into the back of that right leg. And then from here, we're going to place that left foot down. Good time to drop to the knees and give the shoulders a shake out if needed. If you're happy to carry on, let's raise that right leg up and let's hold it here. This downward dog is fantastic for building strength and stability in the shoulders. Very rarely do we have our arms overhead. Very rarely do we have any kind of load put through them. From here we're going to place that right foot down on the mat. Last couple of breaths in the full downward dog. And then we're coming up, walking the feet up between the hands, coming up into standing. Good work, guys. Okay, so we're going to get into our squat now. So let's get the feet shoulder width apart, feet slightly turned out, arms out in front. Take a nice deep breath into the belly, and we're going to sink down. So the main aim here is to keep the back nice and tall. We're not rounding through the back to try and get deeper. Okay, we're working the whole back, making sure the knees aren't rolling in. We're not craning our neck up too much, so we're just glancing down about 1 metre in front. We're drawing the shoulders back. Okay, a few more breaths here. And then from here we're going to come up onto the toes and we're going to sink down into our deep squat. Let's just hang out here for a few moments, get our breath back. Okay, just simply sinking down into a deep squat throughout the day will be very beneficial for your hips. We're very rarely in this position. If you've got the range of motion, you can drop the heels down onto the mat. Okay, and from here, we're going to place the hands out in front. We're going to go back into our plank routine. So hands out in front, step back, and hold it here. So again, drop into the forearms if needed, drop into the knees. But if you're in the full press up plank and you want to take it a step further, we're drawing that left knee in and we're holding. Make sure that left hip doesn't drop. And then we're bringing it back. Right leg up and drawing it in and holding. And back. Then from here, we're coming down into our downward dog. So sinking into the shoulders. And if this is challenging enough for you, stay here. If you want to take it a step further, bring the feet together. And we're going to raise that left leg up off the mat again. Sinking into the back of that right leg. It's hard on the shoulders. So just go at your own pace. Keeping good form. Okay, and then from here, we're going to drop that left foot back down. We're going to raise the right foot up. Sinking down. And then from here, bring the foot down and walking the feet up in between the hands and coming up into standing. Okay, I'm going to do one more routine of that. So let's set the legs up for our deep squat. Toes pointing out slightly, arms out in front, feet about shoulder width apart. Let's come down nice and slowly. So it doesn't matter how far you go down. Okay, we can be up here if this is challenging on the legs, stay here and just work that pattern. If you do want to sink a bit deeper, make sure the back stays tall. Arms are out in front, we're drawing the shoulders back. We're making sure those knees aren't rolling in. Breathing into the belly. Making that our primary focus. And then from here, raising the heels up, dropping the hands down in front, and we're sinking into our deep squat. So if you're happy to do so, we can bring the elbows in between the knees and hands together for our hip opener. Just pushing those elbows into the side of the knees. Great one for improving external rotation through the hips. Okay, heels can be on the mat if you've got that range of motion. And that range of motion does change throughout the day even. Yeah, in the morning you'll feel that this is really challenging, but then if you revisit this in the evening, you might find the body's warmed up and you'll be able to sink a bit deeper. So there's many factors that are involved. Okay, and then from here, we're placing the hands out in front and we're going to get back into our plank. So stepping back, dropping to the knees, being on our forearms if need be. Okay, and if we're in the third modification in the full press up, then we're going to bring the feet together. We're going to raise the left leg up. We're going to raise and draw that left knee in. And we're going to hold it there. Again, and when we're ready, bringing that left leg back, raising the right leg up and drawing it in. From here, stepping back and coming down into our downward dog. So a good point to drop to the knees here. Give the shoulders a bit of a rest. Rejoin us at any point. If you're in the downward dog and you're ready to go for our third modification, we're going to bring the feet together and raise that left leg up off the mat. So a lot of these postures, when we raise a leg up, really challenges the rotational pattern in our body to try and maintain symmetry. But all the while keeping that breath in control. And then lower that left foot down. And let's go with the right foot, so raising the right foot up. And again, drop to the knees in between if you need to. And from here, dropping that right foot down. One last sink into the downward dog, and then walking the feet up between the hands, walking up into standing. Good work, that's hard work on the shoulders there. Okay, we're going to set up into our lunge position now. So I think that's all our shoulder work for the day. So in this lunge position, I want to extend that back leg behind us. Straighten the knee as much as possible. Sink down into the left knee. We're drawing that pelvis in, closing the gap in our abdomen. If we want to take it a step further, we're reaching the arms up. And if you're here and you need just a little bit more challenge, we're going to lean forward. Keeping the back flat. Arms overhead, extend that back leg behind. Let's hold it here. A couple more breaths here. And then we're going to rejoin the first modification coming up. And then we're going to step forward to the front of the mat. Okay, good work. Step back. So right leg forward now. Up on the left toes. Extend that leg behind us. Draw that pelvis in, close the gap. So we're not arching through our lower back. We're sinking down. If you want to take it a step further, arms up. So if you're here and this is challenging, you're doing a great job. We're balancing, putting the body in an awkward position. If you do want to take it a step further, then reach the arms forward and reach the arms up. Fold forward, extend that back leg behind us. Try and maintain some pressure through that back leg. You're going to feel there's definitely more on that front leg. All the while keeping that breath fluid, in control. These classes aren't about pushing yourself to the complete max. It's about finding that sweet spot where you're in control but you're being challenged. Okay, and from here we're going to rejoin the first modification, and then from here stepping up to the front of the mat. Good work. Okay, we're going to start our floor routine now. So we're going to introduce a new one today. We're extending that right leg out in front, so the leg's flat on the mat, and we're going to bring that left knee up as close as you can. If it's down here, it doesn't matter. If it's all the way up here, we're going to step behind, place our left hand on the mat, and with our right elbow, we're going to place it over that knee, and we're going to gently twist. So the hand can be down here, it can be out in front. Okay, spread the fingertips in that left hand. So we're just rotating through the spine here. Start off gently. It's not about forcing the range of motion. It's about finding that edge. Take a deep breath in, and then rotate a little bit more. So it's a great one just for isolating the spine, working on our rotation through our upper back. Let's hang out here. Take a deep breath in, and then on the exhale, maybe sink a little bit deeper. But just go at your own pace. Okay, you might find that leg needs to just come down a little bit more, just to take a bit of the intensity out. Might be even further down here and we're just easing into it. None of this should be painful or feel like anything's gonna pop out of joint or it's a great one for just seeing how well we rotate to the left versus how well we rotate to the right. And this information is pretty valuable if we're trying to solve an injury or we're feeling a bit out of balance during the day. So a couple more breaths here. And then we're going to come back into the middle. So come back nice and slowly. Extend that left leg out now. I'm going to bring the right knee in. I'm going to place the right hand behind. I'm going to bring that left elbow over the knee for our rotation to the right. So again, the arm can be down. The main focus is that we're working through our back and that we're not pushing it too hard. And just ask yourself at the end of each one of these sessions, are you feeling energized and you're feeling good? Then you've probably hit the perfect intensity. But if you're getting to the end of these sessions and you're feeling sore and it's aggravating something, then there's something we need to modify. Just dial back the intensity a little bit. Try and isolate the exercise that might be causing an issue. Take a deep breath in. Let's rotate a little bit more. Another deep breath in. And on the exhale, rotating a little bit more. So a big part of this routine is our breath. talk about it a lot. If we can keep our breath in control, we will maximise our performance throughout the routine. If we're having to hold our breath, we're having to hyperventilate to hold a posture, then that's a sure sign that we just need to ease it back a little bit. Okay, one last breath here. And then coming out nice and slowly. Good work. Okay, we're going to do just one set of our abdominal routine. Okay, so lay the back nice and flat on the mat. Knees about fist width apart. We're going to interlace the fingertips. We're going to draw the shoulders back, tuck the chin into the chest and roll up. So we're raising our upper back off the mat. And we're going to start rotating, so going from left to right. If we need to support our neck, gently place the fingertips behind the neck. Now if this is challenging enough for you, stay here. Just continue your rotations at a nice slow pace. We're not trying to do 100 of these, not trying to race through, we're trying to listen to the body. If you want to take it a step further, we're extending that right leg out, rotating to the left, and we're coming up, rotating to the right, extending the left leg out. You don't have to be completely in sync with me, just don't go any faster. Okay, it's about making sure that lower back stays close to the mat, drawing in our pelvis, the front of our pelvis towards our ribs, so we're not losing that good form. Keeping that chin tucked to our chest, and we're breathing into our belly. Okay, we're going to just do a few more of these. Rotating, holding, coming up, coming to the left, extending that right leg out, and up. One last time on each side. And up, and over to the left. And up. Good work, and then rolling back for our final posture of the day. The most important one. So we're going to place the palms up to the ceiling, open up the feet, and we're going to get our breath back to normal. I want you to take some time now, focus on our breath, making sure when we inhale, our stomach rises up. We're utilising our diaphragmatic breathing. We're moving away from this upper chest. Breathe in. So how we know whether we're doing the diaphragmatic breathing, well, most of the movement for most of the duration of the inhale should come from the belly rising up. Right at the top of the inhale, the chest can expand a little bit. We're holding it right at the top of the breath. And then on our exhale, we're breathing out. The next component is making sure that we match our inhale with our exhale. So aim to breathe in for maybe 4, 6 or 8 seconds in, longer if you can. Holding it right at the top of the inhale for a couple of seconds, and then matching that same duration on the exhale. So a couple of sure signs that will be brought to your attention when you're diaphragmatic breathing, your stomach will start rumbling. Okay, blood flow is going to our stomach in this parasympathetic state, our recovery state. We're feeling calm, and we're maximising our window of opportunity to come back tomorrow stronger. So if you've got 5 or 10 minutes here, I would highly recommend you stay here and focus on your breath. If you do need to head off, then make this a priority. Rejoin it at lunchtime, just for 5 or 10 minutes, or in the evening after a long day at work. It's so beneficial for a whole host of things. So I hope you enjoyed today's class. It was great having you on the mat. Thank you for joining me. Hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening. And I look forward to seeing you on the mat tomorrow. Thank you very much.